and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Looking at this, a lot of people have been commenting on this. Jimmy Dore has made some comments on this as well, but I think it's only fair that we talk about this. So, for those of you who don't know, Ethan Klein, who is the host of the H3H3 podcast, he also had a few other channels. He also had another larger channel as well, H3H3 Productions, decided to call out Joe Rogan. Now, I want to remind everyone that Joe Rogan is one of the most popular commentators of our time. He's beating CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, establishment media, and basically what the establishment media has been doing towards Joe Rogan has been trying to silence him, censor him. We've seen workers at Spotify dare to walk out because some of his past interviews have been deemed controversial. We've seen CNN smear Joe Rogan, wrongly so. And the thing is, everything they do, everything that they try to hit at him with doesn't stick. So now out of the blue, Ethan Klein decided to go after Joe Rogan. So YouTuber Ethan Klein has been scrutinized after criticizing the health of popular podcaster Joe Rogan, a trained fighter who has questioned the pandemic vaccines and government mandates. So Joe Rogan, and this is a quote from Ethan from this tweet. Joe Rogan, who likes to live on elk meat. Have you ever tried elk meat? Egg yolk, and human growth hormone with lungs full of tar, thinks he's healthier than everyone. Klein, who has made headlines for past verbal feuds with YouTubers like Trisha Pettis on Tuesday. So he tweeted on Tuesday. Klein then criticized Rogan for his kitchen sink approach to treating COVID, referring to Rogan previously saying that he's treated his own COVID-19 infection with a slew of drugs, including ivermectin. He then lashed out at media figures who falsely claiming it was a horse dewormer, which is only one aspect of the drug. Klein said if Rogan is so healthy, then he should have just waited it out like you said a man should. He also accused Rogan of spreading vaccine misinformation and labeled him as a effing piece of crap in a tweet. So, let's be very clear here. Rogan has been smeared by the establishment media. And the thing is, Rogan, when he got hit with the pandemic, he was able to recover from it. Now, I understand there's a lot of people who have different points of view of the vaccine. However, which way you want to handle it, that's on you. But going after Rogan and trying to smear him, he's just telling you what he did. And he's going to give you his perspective and his point of view. And by the way, what I find very interesting, though, is that there's this huge wave of cancel culture that's trying to go after Rogan, trying to silence him and censor him. YouTube took down his interview with Dr. Malone. What's up with that? See, this is one of the problems that I have with people trying to mislabel individuals. And Ethan Klein is smearing Rogan with false information because he's getting all his information from CNN and MSNBC, the authoritative sources that would never once, not ever lie, even though these are the same authoritative sources that were promoting weapons of mass destruction in Iraq before the invasion in 2001. These are the same authoritative sources that turned a blind eye to election fraud in 2016 and in 2020 during the Democratic primary, mind you. These are the same authoritative sources that also promoted Russiagate, a conspiracy theory, which is what it is and always will be. So the establishment media has its figures, has its pawns, and this is just another attempt to try and silence someone that is effectively beating them. We've seen this happen before with corporate media. Remember, it wasn't too long ago where corporate media, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, ABC, CBS, were struggling on YouTube. But then YouTube decided to smear PewDiePie as well as a few other commentators. And what was the result? The algorithms decided to favor corporate media. And then came this huge onslaught of censorship, especially after January 6th, silencing independent media and people that are speaking up against the neoliberal narrative. Continuing on, Rogan has been clear on his popular podcast titled The Joe Rogan Experience that he is for COVID-19 vaccines. He has said that before too, and that he is for COVID vaccines, especially for people at higher risk against COVID. But he's also questioned the vaccines being the sole treatment for the pandemic, as well as the idea of younger people at relatively low risk being mandated to take it. A recent interview with vaccine critic Dr. Robert Malone, again, that interview was taken down on YouTube, still up on Spotify, saw Rogan facing censorship as YouTube took down clips of the interview, while others have claimed Rogan is feeding vaccine hesitancy, which is something that Rogan is not doing. Klein is one of the few, however, to take the approach of criticizing Rogan's actual health. The podcaster and comedian is known for exploring fitness and diet through his podcast. He is also a trained fighter and a UFC commentator, as many took posting pictures of Klein and Rogan next to each other to emphasize that Klein may not want to be the judge and jury of who is a health expert. The podcaster simply doubled down and blasted Rogan as a conspiracy theorist and claimed that they have the same body. No, you don't, Ethan. You and Rogan do not have the same body. It's night and day. Night and frickin' day. And anyone that says otherwise, really, pay close attention. The 8 chins are talking. So continuing on, Rogan has not responded to Klein's comments. And by the way, it wasn't too long ago, way back in 2016 or 2015, where Ethan actually sent an invite to Rogan to be on his show. Not too long ago. 2016, maybe 2015. That was a few years ago. But now, things have changed. And again, Rogan isn't saying don't do this or don't do that. He's giving his opinion. And of course, the thing is, what we're seeing is there's this massive wave of pushback against Rogan because the establishment media sees him as a threat because he's doing better than them. He's being authentic with his audience, and he's going to have guests on his show. Now, for some people, I guess they're triggered by who Rogan has on his show. But here's a little business that people need to understand. If you want to have a successful podcast, a successful show, you got to have interesting guests on. It's show running 101. And the fact that you have still people trying to say cancel him or trying to smear Rogan as this great big threat, look at all the misinformation that the establishment two-party political system has given us, or corporate media as well. Censorship is never the answer. And also, saying someone is not healthy. I mean, look at Rogan. He's fit. He's in shape. He's a trained fighter, and he gives commentary for UFC as well. Ethan, pick your fights next time. And, the quartering also did a fantastic job also kind of poking holes at Ethan's too, because the fact that he keeps on tweeting and doubling down on his statements really says a lot. Jimmy Dore even brought this up as well. There's a lot of insecurity here. And maybe this is some sort of vain attempt to maybe gain some attention for Ethan and his show. It's stupid, it's dumb, and it's a waste of time. But this is attempt 100 by anyone trying to cancel or silence Rogan. It's not going to do anything. And as far as I'm concerned, Rogan shouldn't even acknowledge anything that's coming from Ethan Klein. So keep on doing what you're doing, Joe Rogan. You're scaring the establishment, and they want to censor you and silence you, but keep on giving them the middle finger, because that's what you got to do, especially in this day and age of cancel culture. Stand up against censorship, support free speech, and keep on doing what you're doing. And anyone else that's going after you is clearly insecure because they can't run their show. So there we go.